We recently just played through the Who is Real Rerun stages, and I wanted to talk about two of them that caught my attention and break them down for you guys. We're going to be talking about WR-10 and then WREX-8. So let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, guys, so this is going to be a little bit different. What I want to try to do here is explain what I'm doing during my last run of WR-10. I want to do this because I want to be able to speed up kind of where the parts seem a little bit more like monotonous, like there's nothing really going on. But let's go ahead and explain what I'm doing at the very beginning here. So when I did my first run, I actually did like kind of this Triforce with my Vanguard and the block kind of pattern. What I wanted to do with this one is just mainly not have to worry too much about these little guys running out. These dogs are quick and fast. And I just wanted to kind of get everything set up in a way that I was able to kind of deal with that. So I went ahead and I put everybody kind of in this formation here, and with the idea that I would eventually do some defenders out on these outer levels, which is what I eventually do. But if I go ahead and 2 times it here, basically the idea is that Cruz is going to deal with this side. Now, initially I did have XCF facing towards the right to help with that as well, but eventually Free does come. And I was like, you know what? It would probably be a little bit easier if I just put a Mia over there and then I have XCF for Free. Whenever he actually shows up, I'll be able to do a little extra damage. So I went ahead and I did that. So if I go ahead and 2 times it here, you can see that not much is really changing. We have a couple enemies coming through, but we have more than enough DPS to deal with it. We have kind of the DP generator. Honestly, I'm probably doing too much DP and it really doesn't make too much of a difference, but I decided to run the 3 just in case I needed it. Now, this is probably a spot where I probably could have retreated most of my operators, and a lot of you guys probably did that. Most of the time when I see Smarties, I tend to think I should just retreat, let them blow themselves up. They tend to just do it to themselves. But you know what? I was like, yeah, I'll just go ahead and put everybody out the way that I want it, and I'll get everything set up for when Free comes, because Free kind of comes like immediately after this. So I was kind of nervous to take everybody out and then have to kind of buckle up for Free. I could have probably stalled him because he does take quite a bit of time to get all the way through here. I was like, you know what? Let's put Searcher out, do a little bit of damage here. Now, the reason behind the thinking of Searcher being here was, yes, obviously to do a little bit of damage to Free, but on top of that, to actually do a little bit to the monkey that eventually comes out. So I was hoping that the bubble would show up here, which it ended up doing so. I was able to pop that pretty easily. Otherwise, I would have been in probably a very bad situation had he popped. I was hoping to do a little bit more damage than that, but I was actually pretty happy with how much damage I was able to do. And I was actually really happy with the fact that Searcher stayed alive, because I knew that this next monkey was coming, and it's a lot of stuff. So like Free himself really isn't the problem with this stage. It's mainly everything else. There's so much stuff that comes at you at the same time that you get a little bit overwhelmed, or at least I did. And so this is kind of where I'm deciding, you know, let's get rid of the Vanguards. I'm not really doing anything. I have max DP. We can start getting some other units out. I was thinking about a way to kind of buff Exia at some point, but I knew that Blemisheim was going to be there, so I didn't put Warfran out, mainly because of that reason. And then here I am trying to think of like what I'm going to do with Free once he gets to Mudrock, because I knew that I didn't know if Mia was going to be enough. I was like, okay, I'm going to have to do something here, and it's probably going to be somebody like the Radiant Knight or something like that, which I think is what I end up doing. But I think I wait until the bubble pops. So here I am dealing with the Smarties yet again. On the left side, we seem pretty content. Blemisheim does seem like she's going to kind of pop at any point, but I end up popping the shield with Radiant Knight. Honestly, I think that was okay, like an okay plan, because then they're able to kind of deal with the first phase here, and now I have to worry about the monkey. So now that the monkey's here, this is kind of where I'm starting to freak out a little bit, not too much. I just know that the formation is really just set on Free right now. I don't have much to deal with the monkey, and I have about 6 seconds for Searcher, which is kind of what I'm going to start to do, and I'm going to start planning around that, because I actually have a pretty cool idea. So whenever I did this, I was like, okay, you know what? I can actually have Searcher face this way and help with Free and the monkey at the same time. I was pretty happy with that kind of like thought process. I feel like I'm kind of developing those, I don't know, last second decisions, I guess, or kind of working it out. Now I do wait a little bit longer than I guess I probably should have for Searcher's skill. I definitely should just be popping it right now. I feel like I was waiting for the bubble, and I tend to do that with Free quite a bit. I don't know if it's like CC7 nightmares, but I tend to wait for his bubble quite a bit. And you'll kind of see that whenever we get into the EX version of the stage as well, that I wait quite a bit for the bubbles. So as we're going through here, I'm trying to deal with the Smarties as well, because I don't want them to ruin my run. And, you know, I'm trying to get things set up so I can actually block the Smarties. I think I'm pausing here to kind of see if this one's actually going to go through or not. And then I decide, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and let Searcher deal with it. And then we're just going to go ahead and hit it. So like I said, I was kind of worried, I guess, waiting for the bubble to pop, which is when it pops right now. And I was like, okay, nobody's going to be able to pop this bubble. I'm going to be screwed. This is kind of what I'm thinking right now. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to let it go, I guess. I'm going to let everybody die. And it looks pretty grim right now. Like, I know it looks like, okay, we're pretty screwed, but I have an idea. You know, I'm like, you know, Myrtle's going to come out. Exia is going to sit here and actually die. I could have retreated Exia. I don't know why she's sitting here. But here's Myrtle doing the most. And basically what I'm trying to do is stall, but I actually didn't know that he sat here in the middle for so long. So this actually ends up saving the run, which I'm, you know, I decided to put out Blim just to kind of give Radiant Knight the cooldown. I don't know. I tend to do that a lot. I just tend to like put out somebody that helps out with Radiant Knight's cooldown, even though I knew that I wasn't going to redeploy her. Before we jump into the next stage, consider giving the video a like if you guys are enjoying the content. Also, let me know down below if you guys like the new format, kind of giving a little bit of a rundown and a breakdown of what I went through whenever I went through these stages, as well as let me know down in the comments if you guys are enjoying this one and if you're having a lot of fun with the new rerun event. So let's go ahead and jump into WREX-8. So I'm going to be doing the same thing here, just a breakdown of initially what I did. So this is going to be the last run that I had. Initially, I was actually putting people down on this bottom like little row here next to the blue tile, and I found out that that did not work. I just didn't have enough time, and on top of that, Free comes through here, and there's a lot of RNG that goes into it because he can actually change some of the color tiles, and I was just having kind of a rough time. So I decided to put Fang and Gummy up here, the dynamic duo. I put Flametail over here by herself, hoping that she'd be able to kind of do this. She unfortunately is trying her hardest, but she ultimately ends up going down. I put Cruz to help out, but a little bit too late there. I didn't have quite enough DP, and you can actually see that Cruz almost let that one go through. And then I kind of just like, okay, you know what, Flametail, damn, that sucks. I was actually going to reset because I think that was going to ruin the run. Flametail's a little bit RNG. Sometimes she lives there because of her dodge and stuff like that, and sometimes she doesn't. So I decided to put Silver Ash out. This is the support I decided to use mainly because of the blindies. He does a lot to help out with the blindy situation, which will be more apparent here in a minute. I put Exia facing towards the right. The idea behind Exia is to kind of help out with this lane and eventually help out with Free whenever he actually shows up. So when Free goes through here, it's so annoying. I tried some different things. I tried to see if I could like hit him with Exia with a buff, try to get him like kind of numbed down a little bit. I even had a point where I was using Fartooth as a support, because he ends up stopping like kind of right here, and you're able to do a little bit of damage, but it definitely wasn't enough until I realized that Free isn't even actually the biggest problem on this stage. It's everything that kind of comes with him on top of it. So if you have somebody to kind of clear, which is why Silver Ash was kind of a good option here, because you'll kind of see that these guys are coming out, you know, whatever routine, whatever, we'll kind of speed through this. A lot of these guys come out. Exia is helping out with the left side. Silver Ash is just doing the God's work here. Now, I thought that I needed to heal Silver Ash, so I actually ended up putting an AoE healer in a dumb spot. A lot of you guys are probably gonna be like, that is a really stupid spot, and I didn't realize that. But here's kind of where Silver Ash is going to shine when it comes to this run, and that's gonna be these damn blindies, bro. I was so tired of them at this point. Now, this spot, I was kind of worried because he's like 0 HP, and I've had so many damn runs where I've had somebody run through on 0 HP. I thought Silver Ash may be able to reach, but I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna risk it. I'm just gonna put Blimmy down there. I knew that I was going to eventually get some defenders down here because there's a next round of blindies, as you can see. I took away Silver Ash because I think that his ultimate was basically out. So I put Searcher facing this way to help Blimmy. And then I got a little bit nervous because there's a 2-stack here and Searcher's only a 1 block. So I went ahead and put Radiant Knight out to help. And then here's kind of the bad part where my AoE healer gets kind of smashed, which a lot of you guys are probably saying I knew that was going to happen. But here is Exia trying to fend off Free for a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and let this go. And then these are the Smarties. I realized, oh yeah, we're on the Smarty spot, and I decided to actually let them run through. But I was a little bit nervous here because I actually thought that I was going to get shafted. I was like, I really hope that they blow each other up before they get like inside the blue box. I just didn't really know what the area was considered whenever they go into it. I didn't know if that was going to count against me, but I just decided to let it play, and it ended up working out. So that was kind of the way that I wiped everything. And then this is kind of where I'm deciding like, okay, what am I going to do about Free? And I know that I could stall him. I kind of knew that on CC7, but I was a little nervous if I had somebody to do it. But I found out something, which we're going to fast forward through a ton of this, because basically what ends up happening is Mudrock is just like the best thing for Free. She can just sit there and hang out with Free basically through everything. So I'm going to fast forward pretty quickly on this one because I'm pretty much trying to discuss like, who do I need to put out? I thought about Gummy. I thought about Mudrock, and ultimately I was like, okay, I'll put Mudrock out. I'll get it kind of like weighted, and I'll see if I can't get everybody kind of back up. Now, I knew that the monkeys were going to come up, so I put Searcher facing left towards Blimmy. I was hoping Blimmy would be enough to block, and she ends up getting quite damaged pretty quickly. And unfortunately, I'm not able to do enough damage to this left side monkey, so I end up getting kind of nervous. Now, of course, Searcher deals with her monkey. She's actually pretty good at that. And then I was kind of nervous about Mudrock dealing with 2 because she was kind of like hanging out with Free, and Free's obviously going to do damage. He's going to pop his bubble at some point eventually. And I was like, okay, well, I can't let her die. And so I think I end up Radiant Knighting it. I'm about 2 DP away, as you can see. I think that's what I ended up doing. I kind of forget. Yeah, okay, so I Radiant Knight, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just let her sit here, deal with the other monkey. And then what ends up happening is I think that Searcher was on her last leg, ended up going over the cap, and then she had her like, you know, whatever immunity seconds. So I decide to put Cruz out. I was thinking about who to put out, like who was the most like efficient person to kill this 1 HP damn monkey that was walking away. And I was like, you know what, Cruz can do it, I think, I hope. So then I get rid of Radiant Knight. Of course, she kind of run her course. The Free is actually on his pretty much last leg, and I decide, you know what, I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to put anybody out. I'm going to let Mudrock do her thing, and I do this for a very long time. So I'm kind of discussing on whether I should put somebody out, what I'm going to do next. This is basically the planning phase for me, because I didn't know what I was going to do after phase 2, because at this point he was still in phase 1. So even when Mudrock wins, ultimately, which also, by the way, she just tanks that bubble, dude. She don't care. She's like, whatever, dude. I ultimately decided not to help her because I was trying to think of like, okay, maybe I can speed it up. Maybe I can get it going. But I was a little bit nervous that maybe somebody would die and I would need them and stuff like that. And we had a pretty good plan. I ended up screwing up the plan. So I spent like pretty much this whole entire time talking about what I was going to do next, what I was going to do for phase 2. And I end up kind of screwing it. We decided to put Blimmy out because it helps the buff with Mudrock. And I was just like, you know what, I'll just throw her over here. I probably should have just put her on this side or whatever. So in case something bad happened, I had her kind of as a backup. But then I decided I was going to buff Searcher. So I decided to put out Warfran. I'm going to put Searcher, at least the idea here is to put Searcher on the white tile. I'm going to buff her and hopefully be able to deal with this second phase when it comes to it. Now, I decided to keep Mudrock here. I probably could have got rid of her at this point. I was going to see how long she could block. And I also didn't know that Free stands over here for like ever. So you're going to see that here in a minute where Free's just kind of hanging out. And I'm like, oh, Free sits there forever. Because I actually put Silver Ash in preparation that Free was going to keep moving. And then Free was like, nah, I just kind of hang out. And I was like, ah, so then I ended up killing Silver Ash instead of putting a healer on her, on him. I don't know why I didn't do that. I just kind of got freaked out because I'm like, oh, well, he's going to die. So I should probably just run the clock on him and then get him back by the time it's all done. So this is kind of where I'm planning like the next few stages. Who am I going to block with? How am I going to block? What am I going to do? And here's where I kind of ruined the plan because he bubbled. This is what I was saying earlier in the other stage is I wait for the bubble, and that's kind of what I was doing with Searcher. I was waiting for so long, and then I finally pop her, and she should have been popped way long ago. It would have made this a whole bunch different. And you can see that I'm just really struggling now because I'm starting to freak out because I only have so much DP. And I start throwing units out. This is the baddest, like the worst thing that you could possibly do is start throwing units out. And I start getting nervous and I'm like, oh, hell. So at this point, I'm freaking out, spinning DP that I shouldn't be spinning. Should probably get rid of like Blim or something like that. I think I kept her out because I was hoping that she'd be able to help Mudrock and kind of help her sit here for long. Mudrock is doing her darnest to try to get it going. At this point, the really only idea that I have is to hope that Radiant Knight eventually shows up before the end of the end. I put Gummy out because I was hoping that they would be able to kind of like differentiate the attack or whatever. She'd be able to kind of tank some of it. And we're getting pretty close to Radiant Knight. I knew that this was going to pop. And I think I actually get rid of Mudrock if I remember correctly, because I get kind of nervous. Or I let her pop. I can't really remember. Okay, so I let her pop, put Searcher out, and then I'm okay. I'm pretty much good to go. And then we just let Searcher kind of deal with her thing because obviously she's gonna have her ultimate. I overkill it with Radiant Knight just to make sure that I was gonna do it. And I almost messed up the entire back end of that. I was really nervous because I had a really good solid plan with Searcher and I didn't pop her for whatever reason. I got really nervous or whatever. I was waiting for that damn bubble and then I didn't do it when the bubble came. But ultimately we ended up doing it. So hopefully you guys like this format. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it here. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Peace.